just keep going. We'll go with nothing.
Okay, we'll do a podcast about nothing. I think that's already been done.
Yeah, I know.
A show about
it. They did very well.
It's in a massive syndication forever and ever.
So, the one thing that, I think is really important that I struggle with personally is the whole idea of relationships. Being in them, sometimes I wonder, is it worth all that effort to be in a relationship? And I don't just mean in a romantic relationship. I mean in any relationship, between friends, between relatives, family, and then, of course, significant others.
But that's funny because you say, is it worth it? Because the funny part about that is that you're constantly in relationships. So you can't even almost say, is it worth it? Because that's what life is, relationships.
Right.
That's why you're here, to have relationships.
Unless you ask, how much do you invest in them? How much do I invest in them?
How much do you invest, right?
So I think that's, the funny thing is that here as an energetic being, the difference that I think, sorry, this is my chair going back and forth again as I move in my chair.
You just have a creaky voice.
She's kind. She's kind. So,
as well as an accent, but that's okay. I went for a twofer.
So do you think the fact that we can't put on our location as being Boston, Massachusetts, do you think they figured it out?
Yeah, we tried on Spreaker to put the location.
They have Boston, Idaho or something.
It's not that we don't want to be found, but here we are.
So, but with, we talk about relationships and we talk about being here. Sometimes we look at, who we are and where we are and, why are we here? That's, obviously an age-old question. But if we ask, why are we here? I have to believe the difference between being just pure energy and being a physical form is our ability to interact with other people. And we learn a lot when we do, meditation. And again, a lot of the books that we have on our website under EI Publishing has a lot to do with, thinking for yourself, really going deep in yourself and mining the answers that are in you. Yet, we can only do that on our own for so long because we learn so much more through our responses to other people.
Right, to what we say and what we hear.
And
how we hear is what we
react.
Need to hear.
Right. So I think that, the idea of relationships and how much do you want to put into them, like you said, you can't help it because we're going to relate. We're going to have a relationship with the person at the coffee shop, the grocery store, walking down the street, at the library, wherever.
Automotive repairman, yeah.
Yeah. So I think, I think it's so important that, part of our, you're looking at yourself and your energy and how your energy is enhanced really comes from the interaction with people around you.
And it's really cool because so here you are an energetic being and then here you are meeting an energetic being and you have all your dysfunction and chaos and drama and stories and all your personal journey and how you're working on yourself and your energy. And they have all the same. And who knows at what vibration you're both at. And you're both energized beings and you're both interacting. So then you're creating, of course, science and sociological experiments and, whatever psychological experiments have shown, I'm thinking of that little circle on not a pie chart, but on a graph or a presentation that shows the intersection of two circles. And there you have a whole nother area of energy that's being created by this interaction. And like you said before in the beginning, it's all about the reactions, the interactions, what comes out. And it's funny because I've always said, in dreams, everybody says, oh, you meet yourself in your dream. You want to analyze your dream. You meet yourself in your dream. Well, you also meet yourself every day. And if there's something that bothers you about somebody, we were just having this conversation the other day, if there's something that bothers you about somebody, well, if it's bothering you, then, try reflecting that it's something within yourself that bothers you about yourself. It's being mirrored to you, so you're dealing with it. And you kind of orchestrated it for yourself. You did orchestrate it for yourself in that time and that place to deal with it. You could decide to deal with it or throw it into drama and chaos and not deal with it, or you could decide something else.
So the other thing that I know, I've worked, with lots of different people at different levels. I've worked with very high level business management people, and I've worked with some of the people in most, at the entry level. And I will say that in every single case, no matter who you meet, there's always something you learn about yourself if you're open to it. If you are open to it. If you have judgment and you're insecure and you want to make sure so-and-so stays in a certain level, then you're going to miss the boat. And guess what? You're going to continue to repeat the same lesson over and over and over until you actually get it.
Right.
My dad used to say, if you're going to make 100 mistakes, make it 100 different mistakes. Don't make the same mistake 100 times. And so, but, I think the whole idea of relationships is very much a challenge, because that is really the most powerful impact on who we are, is our relationships with each other. And it can be literally a person on the street as well as someone that you're married to. It can be, they're all, the person that you're married to is just more of a consistency in the space. It's not more powerful. And I think, understanding, who's in your life and when it's time to recognize, I think we learn from certain people. And when you come to the realization that that part is over, if you don't let go of it, that's when it gets really, it turns into something really nasty. And I'm not bringing it down to a very low level. Even from energetic wise, it's like, it's depleted. It's energy that's been depleted, like overused. And it's like you're supposed to move on. And if you don't move on, you miss a lot.
We almost cannibalize it inside yourself.
So I think a big part of it, and again, what's in the book of energetic invocations, there's a big section on relationships, which I think has a lot to do with how to let go of a relationship, whether you're the one that can't let go or whether someone can't let go of you. And, it talks about, how you internalize it and how you move through it, but there's an energy of it too. I don't want to minimize it, but people say, oh, this person won't, stop bothering me. The question becomes, well, what's in it for you?
Right.
Because when you completely are done with somebody, not with hatred or anger, but you're just done, they just trail off. So if they're in your life, you're holding on to a part of it. It just makes sense.
Well, not only are you holding on, you're not moving on.
Right. So either way, but what I'm trying to say, if you're the person that says, hey, I've moved on, this person won't leave me alone, there's something that you're contributing to it.
Because there's still a story in it, if you're still considering them.
Whatever it is.
Right.
Exactly. And
because that's the picture with the perspective. What are you putting in the foreground versus in the background?
Right. Because there's certain people in my life that I could sit back and I could think, when I was done, I'm just done. I don't have any feeling. And it's like, the more I don't have feeling, it's just they move. It's like, how could, it's like they're like, look at me, look at me, look at me. And all of a sudden you've moved out of the house. Like they're standing outside a window, jumping up and down. And you've moved to a new house and you don't even see them jumping up and down, versus if you're in the house, like, no, you're not, So when you're in a relationship, I think it's really important to understand the energy behind it. And if you really want to be in truth to the energy, you have to look at the relationship different. And the book is really good about helping you to understand that concept, because you know what, until you get it, I throw myself in there, the front of the line. You get caught up in like the crap someone told you, or I can't believe so-and-so did this, or I can't. And
then when it affects you and it affects someone you love,
you can't help it.
It makes it even worse. You get more infuriated and it boils itself up. And guess what? There it is again, right in the front of the picture.
And the only other thing I do want to say, I think is important, is that, again, in the book, when it talks about how to move beyond it, and it's not that we're trying to not give you the answers, it's a huge chapter. We can't put it in. We're going to be on here for another 20 minutes if we try to.
Or more.
However, when you get to that point and you understand the energy behind it, it makes it a little bit easier. And, and it is a practice. It's something like with anything. Again, it becomes, you have to make it a different habit. It takes practice, because we all get caught when we're first learning to start seeing the relationship differently. We all get caught. And, you know, and you just do the best you can.
And that's a huge thing, to see relationships differently.
Right.
See them differently.
And
once you start doing that,
So
you're
think of it
creating them rather than being reactive.
What happens if you pulled every relationship out of, you know, I mean, I've been the first to say, I'm going to sell my house. All my kids are gone. I'm going to go live in the freaking side of a mountain. And I'm not going to interact with anybody.
And what do I tell you? Everything's going to carry itself with you unless you deal with it here.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I know myself. I'm not the type of person that I could do it for a week.
You need people.
So, well, we all need
You're
people.
a people person.
We all need people. You know?
You're going to sing?
People.
No, I think Barbara Streisand has a bit over you.
Yeah. No, well, my kids would say differently. No. They wouldn't be as kind as that. But the truth of the matter is that I think it's a huge, I mean, then we talk about love, and love is nothing more than an addition to the idea of a relationship. It's like another level of it.
Mm-hmm. And what if you started embracing interactions and seeing relationships differently and not carrying all the baggage of them forward with you? But you also, I mean, you know, you have to say too, the other person has to be on board with that too.
No,
so you have to be a little bit of a vibration.
No. The other person,
a little bit, because if they're in your space and they're consistently, at some point you're like, If
you know the truth of who they are, let me rephrase it. If it's someone that you meet here, if it's someone who's in your, like a husband or wife, or you know, relatives to a degree, they have to be a little bit on board. That's when they get into the whole. They talk about boundaries and all this other stuff. But the truth of the matter is that if you're clear about who you are and what it's about, then you adjust how much you want.
Well, because of your vibration,
right?
It changes,
right.
So we were both saying the same thing.
So anyways, we think that, you know, one of the most important pieces about the energy is the energy that you go back and forth and how you affect other people. And Energetic Invocations, a book of vibrational change, it's on EI Publishing. It will actually help you to make some of these adjustments. And again, the invocations are very powerful, and they're not mantras. They're a little bit different. And they're really meant to help you.
Because you make them your own.
Right. So, thank you for listening.
Thank you.